This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the CEO of Fury Gold Mines and the Senior Vice President of Exploration for Fury, Mr. Bryan Atkinson and Mr. Tim Clark. Gentlemen, how are you two today?
Oh, great. Oh, great.
Well, listen, let's get
great. Thanks.
It's great to have you both on. Let's get right into it. There's a lot of people because of the recent consolidation in the gold space, and it's funny to call it that because we're, nibbling near all-time highs here. But with the recent pullback, there's a lot of people that don't quite have gold and silver as a hedge for the volatility that I see kind of developing all over the place. We've had conversations, Tim, where we've talked about how Fury actually provides a really great mixture of both while also giving you leverage to a great technical team and a great balance sheet. And so I thought with the recent release, it'd be a great time to have you all on to speak to the position the company's in. And maybe you'll take that one, Tim. And then Bryan, I'd love to get I'm not a geologist, right? So I'd love to get the geologist and informed take on the recent release where you hit 31.77 grams per ton of gold. And kind of what that means. This was at the hinge target. But Tim, I'd love with an overview of the company.
Sure. Well, I think you guys have talked about a couple of the hot items here. I think as I think about this from my capital markets days as investors, to simplify the story is the view is that there's a very good chance we could be going into a nice upcycle, if not potentially big cycle in silver and gold. Gold, I think, is poised. It showed a lot of resiliency and back and forth with the Fed. But if you think this is a possibility, what you want to do is you don't want to own the big names. You want to own the small names where all the torque is. So that brings us into the junior space. And there's a lot of names to choose from. I typically always felt that the quality of management and the financeability were number one and two. And so as I've been at this company 2.5 years, that's been the goal, is to position ourselves to be the best in class, both in terms of financing and best in class in terms of how we spend our money. And at the same time, we've been bringing forth and doing drilling and exercising, the best options for ourselves to create value for investors so that when this market starts to go up, we're going to get the limelight of the attention. And the other thing I would point out is very few juniors are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. It's a big item because most of the money is in the U.S. And even Europeans will prefer to trade the New York Stock Exchange than the TSX. So when money does come in, we're going to be well positioned on the trading side to capture a lot of that. And that's as simple as I can put the story.
I couldn't agree with you more. I have to ask about the appointment of 2 new board directors in 2023, because I think that the background that they bring speaks to the quality of the projects and speaks to the team and the future prospects of it.
I think it's something that people shouldn't underestimate. Now that I'm on the corporate side, I value the quality of the board far more than I did. They set culture and they set the tone. And so we brought on 2 new people. One was Bryan Christie, who is our new chairman, and the other is Isabel Cadeau, who's another director. Well, the reason why we brought them on was because we just wanted to high grade everything as we're moving through the company. And if you don't have a good, solid board, that limits you. And, it's Bryan Christie in particular has, both of them are field geologists by training, but Bryan spent 20, 30, 40 years in the capital markets as an analyst and also as a banker. He spent the last 10 years as the senior head of marketing for Agnico Eagle. Agnico Eagle is well regarded as the number 1 marketing firm in Canada in terms of mining. Sean Boyd, I believe, is one of the top CEOs we have in Canada in mining. And these guys, it's no mistake that we got Bryan on board to help us lean into those big brothers to help the company going forward and making these right connections and whatnot. Isabel, on the other hand, again, it's important to add a geologist to the team, but she spent 25 years only investing in small cap junior companies in Quebec. So she brings that also Quebec relationships. Her husband's CEO of Azimut, full disclosure. And so she's as connected as can be. She's a really sharp lady. She brings a lot of class to how we think about things. And I think that the confidence should go up with investors that you have really good people who are investing themselves in a small company. It says a lot. And I've gone to both of them and I've asked them, why do you like Fury over a lot of the other ones that you could be doing? And they both commented that and not to toot Bryan and my horn, but they love the energy, they love the thoughtfulness, that we are constantly looking to improve things, and that, having a balance sheet and the assets we have, there's a lot of potential to win, and that's exciting.
Bryan, let's talk about, we talked treasury, we talked capital markets expertise, we talked liquidity via the New York Stock Exchange listing. Let's talk assets, and specifically, I want to get into the most recent release. I mentioned those spectacular results at the hinge target. It didn't go unnoticed by me that the team spoke to the increased confidence in the geological model, and I was wondering that if hopefully you would be able to expand on that.
Yeah, definitely. So, we went back to basic first principles when we acquired this project 3 years ago, and just tore it apart and started having a look and see where the opportunities were. And, 2 years ago, we stepped out into the hinge with a couple of holes, and lo and behold, we found, 19 stacked veins of, gold mineralized quartz veins. And, since then, we've gone back out there, we've modeled what we have, and this year we were hitting within a meter or two of where our predicted intercepts would be. So, really consistent, really predictable, which is nice. It's kind of boring when you're exploring, but that's good because that's sort of boring, build ounces. And when we have hits like we announced here, and, obviously the headline hit of 31.7 grams over 3.5 meters, but there's other things in there. There's, 65 grams over half a meter. There's 5 grams over 3.5 meters. So these are all, and we're shallow. We're only 2 to 250 meters below surface. We're immediately adjacent and contingent with the 850 zone resource, the historic resource. So these are going straight into the resource update that we're going to be putting out in early April of this year.
You clearly, obviously have assays pending. I would love for you to set the table for 2024. Tim, if you could touch on that briefly, what can investors and speculators and shareholders expect from Fury?
In 2024, well, first off, we haven't gotten all our drill holes in, so we've got another release there. We've also got a resource update that we're hopefully going to get out shortly thereafter. I'm guessing, or what Bryan is kind of pointing me to, is the end of the first quarter, beginning of second. And I think that's going to give some clarity to what we've got and have done the last 3 years. But going forward, since we've done a lot on this resource, Eau Claire, what we also want to do is start exploring the property more. We've spent a couple of years doing a lot of survey work. We poked a few holes out at Percival, but there's a lot of other anomalies across the property. And when we sit down with Agnico and Newmont and others, they love hearing about the Eau Claire resource because that's the base. But they're really excited what we might have because we own 30 kilometers of this Canard Deformation Zone, and we're seeing a lot, within a kilometer of this zone that could be interesting. The other part would be we'd like to get up to the joint venture. The joint venture has been always on the top of our list as a potentially really good place to explore. Best place to find gold is next to a big operating mine, which Eleonore is. And we are hoping Newmont is more open to and excited about doing something this year. So we're kind of waiting to hear back from them and how much we can get up there. The plan is to basically step out more. I don't think we have to spend as much to get as far in terms of exploration. So we're not looking to ramp things up and diluting the company on raising a lot of money, but we've got $7 million in the bank right now, so we're pretty set there. And that's the plan.
Bryan, geologically, what has you the most excited?
Yeah, Tim alluded to it. Some of those targets that we have out to the east around Percival. At Percival this year, we just recently put out 1.5 meters at 279 grams out there. So it's high grade. It's a really nice system out there, and we've got some really compelling targets that we followed up on this year. So look for some geochem and targeting come out with that with the last 2023 drill results from out that way. So I think the discovery potential for this year and the kind of the step away from the resource and going full, not full on, but a larger focus on making a new discovery is going to be very exciting this year with the knowledge we've gained over the last 3 years on the project.
Bryan, I understand you'll be at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. I will as well, of course. So if anyone is out there, please stop by and say hello. You will be there this year, correct?
Yep, myself and our manager of investor relations, Margot, will be there. So yeah, stop by the booth.
Fantastic. Tim, anything to add to that?
No, I just go back to what you were talking about in the beginning, that this is a kind of a unique combination between the leverage between silver and gold with this Dolly. Dolly's obviously a huge piece to us. They've got a third of their drill holes still pending, and we'll see what Hecla does in the back of that. And then, of course, we have a lot of things we're working on this year. So I think it's going to be a better year for gold by a long shot and for Fury.
I couldn't agree more. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was great to catch up.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.